Mark, what are your opening thoughts after today's game?
Right, okay, so it's one of those games where everybody wants to rant and rave, and that's fine. I'm going to take the option to try and work our way through it and make sure that we don't perform it and work out why we can perform or underperform like that when there's not been any sign of it. I think that the confidence and the work rate, and I always talk about that unwritten contract between us and the supporters, and I think, and the non-negotiables, which I think they found they were trying to negotiate, which can't happen. So I'm bitterly disappointed with the performance. I take responsibility, and it is really difficult to stand and watch that for 97 minutes, the same as the supporters. So I've got to work the way through that and then see how we approach the game on Wednesday. But we've got to make sure that we don't underperform like that again. I think that's the crux of it. You know what it takes to win, and you know what it takes to underperform. And unfortunately, we just didn't perform to anywhere near the level. Now, sometimes I think this season that's going to happen, because it's happening to every team more or less, and I think that is the league. We don't want it to be. We don't want it to be the case, but it's how you respond from it. I think you're saying it could be a really, really promising season and a really successful season, but we've got to prove that we're good enough, and we've got to prove that we're good enough more often than not. And we've got to come through. Again, we've seen about a sticky period. I think the support was absolutely outstanding, because they've clapped, the ones that were there have clapped the players off, which is absolutely incredible. But we owe them a performance, and we owe them a performance on Wednesday and for the rest of the season. So whilst you can be angry and you can start throwing things around the dressing room or whatever, I think that you have to keep a calm head, even though it hurts, there's no doubt about it. But you've got to make sure that the players are in the right place to go and perform again in the right way. So that's what we'll do.
You mentioned the dressing room there. What have the players been like at full time after you went in there?
Well, they're quiet. There's one or two that want to say a few words, but the majority are quiet. And I'm not surprised. I wasn't going to say too much, but I ended up saying a little bit more. But I think that we've got to be better than we were in every single area, every single department, which was we haven't said that this season. And again, in a season like this, in the season like the Championship, and like it is at the moment, every single team's going to go through that little period or a game or two during the season where you're way below, and it's inexplicable. It's just what happens, and I think that you'd love to eradicate that. And Sheffield United themselves have been through that for a period, but again, they've come through, they've won 4 on the bounce. We've got to get to that point, and we go to Ipswich, which is another tough game on Wednesday, and then we've got a quick turnaround for Saturday. It's a tough week. We've got to suck it up and make sure that we don't perform or underperform like that.
After today's feat, is it good to have another game quickly on the horizon?
Well, yeah, you'd like to say yes. It's how you respond. I'm really interested to see how we respond, because it tells you a lot. I think you can stand and watch that, and the changes that we made. We're in a position where we're in decent control of it for a few minutes, all right? So 10, 15 minutes or whatever. But you concede a corner and not be able to solve that particular problem because there are 4 first contacts that they get that we don't deal with, and that was an issue. But then that bled into every other part of the performance today, and that's something that can't happen. And confidence and things like that are all temporary. So we can just say, right, okay, we've got to learn from it, but we can put that behind us and we just focus on what's important now, because we can't do anything about that. What we can do is learn from it and don't let it happen again. And that's for young players learning and trying to put things right for the next time that they come up against something like this. So whilst it can be disappointing, we can use it, and hopefully we can learn from that and not have a repeat.